Spider-Man is a superhero that's always been very important to me. He's someone who I've grown up with and spent a lot of time just being a fan of. But let me take you back to 2009. A personal tradition of mine on big holidays, big events, was just to be with the people I love and watch Spider-Man, watch his movies, his shows, all of that. And just the special feeling of seeing the lovable web-headed crime fighter save the day just was a huge highlight to me. Just such an icon, and the love for the character and the time that I've invested is time that I just feel looking back was just very well spent. Now let's flash forward years later to 2023. These movies, when you look back on it, just show so much more. Not only did Sam Raimi clearly have just such a special and personal connection to Spider-Man, but he also just truly knew how to capture the impact Spider-Man had on people. What's so amazing is that not only does watching these movies again and again continue to just remind me of the kid in me who loved these movies through and through, but also more and more of what Spider-Man is to us and the lives he impacts of the ones around him. Spider-Man is a superhero who will always be there to look over the people of a city. That's just who he is. But he is also someone who will do right with the power he is given. It's his responsibility. But the emotional connection that Peter has to being Spider-Man is what will continue to drive him always to be better. With his capabilities and being such a hero that he is, this turns him into a pillar of support. One for people to depend on, to lean on. The love these people have for Spider-Man has made him into an icon. Seeing this icon be loved by so many and what this can do to just inspire so many of us is a way of showing how he can really make an impact. In The Amazing Spider-Man 2, we get a moment when Spider-Man is helping a kid from bullies. Not only does Spider-Man's presence just being there with the kid serve as comfort for him, but later on, this kid shows up and is willing to stand up against the Rhino. He is stepping up as Spider-Man for the city. This kid is willing to stand up against incredible danger as his hero, Spider-Man.
Hey, Spider-Man.
The impact of Spider-Man is just so powerful in this movie. How his actions of kindness and heroism are just able to warm this kid's heart. And this later on just gives him courage to step up for people who are in need of someone, to do what his hero had done for him. The tragic death of Peter Parker in the start of Into the Spider-Verse left all of New York in sadness. The impact of this death led the city all to unite to honor him. But more importantly, they all show up dressed as him, portraying how Spider-Man serves as part of the city's identity.
We are all Spider-Man.
It just leads to such a compelling question of how a city can move on and thrive again without such a presence in their lives. It's by starting new. With the death of Peter Parker serving as the turning point for Miles Morales to actually step up as the next Spider-Man, he is now there as the city's new pillar of support, their new icon. All of you Raimi fans who are just sitting at the edge of your seat, just waiting and waiting for me to get to it, we're getting there. In Spider-Man 2, we get the iconic scene of Spider-Man saving a subway train full of people. In doing so, he gives it his all, which puts himself through further conflict as the outcome. But now, in Spider-Man's time of need, the people he just saved are there to defend him against Doc Ock. They're there to give him support to their hero who did for them. To become people Spidey depended on, like what he is for them. 3 different iterations, all adapted on screen so differently. Yet what is still captured is the love of Spider-Man from the people around him. And the beauty of having a cinematic multiverse full of stories is how an idea like this can be illustrated across the big screen in just so many different ways. Who Spider-Man is to people can be expressed so uniquely, which is why I'm just so frustrated with how the MCU just expresses none of that. The MCU just misses so much importance with Spider-Man. The personal connection and impact Spider-Man has is just not shown in the same way. We don't get those powerful moments of seeing how much Spider-Man means to the people. MCU Spider-Man doesn't feel like the beacon of hope and pillar of the community that just brings people together. He's often shown more isolated and is missing that strong emotional tether to the city and its people. And while MCU Spider-Man does go through personal struggles, we just don't get those iconic movie moments representing Spider-Man's larger impact. In Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man was there on the ferry, and was there to make sure the boat just didn't sink into two halves. But the people on board by the end of it don't truly show appreciation to him, nor do they recognize his doings, because all the credit just goes to Iron Man. In Spider-Man Far From Home, the people Spider-Man saves from Hydra Man are just nameless tourists who flee afterwards. There's no personal connection being formed. This being part of a bigger issue as the setting of his sequel is in Europe, rather than in New York City where these connections are actually made and last going forward. But instead, they decided to use this to be a movie about a teen summer flick with a Spider-Man twist. Not only are those impactful Spider-Man moments missing, but the movies don't establish Spider-Man as the inspirational icon to New York that he just should be. Throughout the MCU, Spider-Man is treated more like just any other superhero, rather than the heart of New York City and have him be the figure that he just should be. I want you to think about it like this. When Tony Stark dies, there are murals and tributes to Iron Man all over the city. Yet when Spider-Man died and was gone for 5 years, there was no public memorial or any outpouring of grief from New York or Spider-Man. No care, nothing. Spider-Man does not have the large amount of trust and support from the people that such a meaningful hero should have. As soon as Mysterio frames Spider-Man for his death in the disaster in London, the public and media immediately turn against him. There are no New Yorkers standing up for Spider-Man when he needs them the most. Rather than being the inspirational icon for his city, Spider-Man feels more isolated, mistrusted, and unloved in the MCU, which is just overall just so sad to see for this character. He has gotten some appreciation from fellow Avengers or other heroes.
Thank you, Spider-Man!
But not the love from the streets of New York, which are just more important to the character that make him the legend that he is. If you're someone who's seen all of the MCU Spider-Man stories and felt like this works, this is something you love, that's great. I'm not here to come after any of you guys watching's opinions. But the thing you just have to understand is, although these movies are exciting and they make very entertaining action movies, there's nothing more. They miss out on those touching moments that truly define Spider-Man's importance. Scenes where New Yorkers can unite through their love and need for Spider-Man, where his actions inspire ordinary people to find courage and hope. These types of emotional connections to the people are just central to Spider-Man's character, which the MCU has just not touched upon. After all of these years of Tom Holland being Spider-Man and the amount of time in the story Peter has been Spider-Man, his relationship and meaning to the city he calls home is just so non-existent, so empty. There just hasn't even been any focus to develop and make his Spider-Man become just more impactful, more inspiring, or just mean anything as well. There's just nothing. The ending of No Way Home, serving as the conclusion of Spider-Man's high school era, gives us a fresh start in Spider-Man's story. This leads to so many possibilities in the future with another trilogy on the way. There are still opportunities for Spider-Man to grow, for him to grow into building a stronger connection to the people of New York. Powerful moments where Spider-Man lifts up citizens when they need hope, moments of them supporting him as their hero as they wait for his return whenever help is needed. And that is just what's so needed for these movies. Tom Holland's Peter Parker still has a lot of room to grow into the role of being the inspirational icon that Spider-Man is meant to be. With his new trilogy centering on Peter's college years and future, it's now the time to highlight Spider-Man becoming a beacon of hope and courage for the people. Seeing ordinary citizens find the hero in themselves after being inspired by Spider-Man's selfless actions is what the character is all about. As Spider-Man's story continues in the MCU, hopefully these themes get the time they truly deserve to actually shine. The ingredients are all there for the MCU to cook and deliver an iconic Spider-Man who means as much to the people of New York as he does to us, the fans of the beloved superhero. Now, if you think I'm straight up being unfair, just remember John Watts has officially said that this trilogy serves as the origin story for Spider-Man in the MCU. This would mean that this Spider-Man had lacked the development that all the others we know and love have had. This Spider-Man had been undergoing development to truly fit into the role for 3 movies that the others have had from the start. As much of a rant as I've been on today, I just want to express that this all comes from a place of love. This superhero is someone I've grown up being a fan of, and I just want to see him being done the right way. The way to captivate new audiences, like with me back when I was seeing Spider-Man for the first time as a kid.